And we are live, come one, come all, nothing but love, nothing but respect. You know what we do, what we don't, what we is, what we isn't. And what we is here today, bringing you guys and girls One Piece 1027 live discussion, an unbelievable disaster. I've got with me today Eggs for Brecky, aka Daniel. Daniel, say hi.
Hello.
Hello, hello. Also, we've got our new stream set up today. As you can see here, you got me floating around in my little boxy box. You got all the social media stuff down in the middle there. Got the chat below me, so you can see your comments and all that good stuff. Got the chapter over to the left, and then above the chapter, we have our sub goal for the month of October. I originally had set a sub goal on the 1st of October to try and hit 50 subs by the end of the month, but during the live reaction on Friday, we already hit that goal on the first night. So essentially, I've just upped the ante. We're going to push for 75 subs in the month of October. So if you haven't subbed already, do that. It is damn well appreciated. With all that out of the way, though, I guess we've just got to jump straight into the chapter, don't we, Daniel?
Do it.
So the chapter starts off. I loved the cover page for this chapter. Actually, I don't know how you felt about it, but having Roger running away from a lion after having like doodled on its face while it was asleep, with Shanks and Buggy shitting themselves up in a tree and that. I don't know. I feel like this is the sort of like hijinks and stuff like that you know that that we would see Roger having gotten into in the past. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, Uh, 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 um, oh, just making sure everything's still all green for the stream. Yes, it is. Just had a little notification pop up from the widgets, but that's all good. All right, let's keep going. So this chapter opens up pretty much where the last chapter ended off, but with Nekomamushi outside with Carrot and Wanda having beaten Perisparrow. So this is just straight out confirmation that Perisparrow is now down for the count, which, I mean, I don't think anyone really doubted that last chapter. I don't know about you, but I definitely don't think many people thought, Perisparrow was anything but out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. True.
That being said, feels a little weird to get that, but not anything from Jack and Inarashi. Um, Part of me is a little upset about Jack, because Jack was a beast and an absolute force, but the dude was an absolute jobber. You know what I mean? He doesn't have a single victory to his name in the entire story, outside of off-screen fodder that Brooke was one-shotting. Um, and the dude went down without having a single named attack or ability. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of painful. It's sort of painful to know that the first person with a bounty over 1 billion berries just went down like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've been thinking a bit more about that, and when you think about it, I mean, like Snack, for example, lost against Rouge, and then got demoted, and then Cracker lost against Luffy, and like that one, then like, yeah, I don't know.
I
I
mean,
mean,
look,
yeah,
Jack's impressive.
third division commanders, I feel like they're just that level.
Yeah, well, see, it's sort of weird if that makes sense, right? Because it's like the captains of the Yonko crew are like leagues and leagues and leagues above everyone else, right? Like it's
Yeah,
not it's not even a discussion really, is it? But
yeah, true.
first mates are sort of the same, where it's like you have a cocky person that thinks they can like maybe take a first mate and that, but it's like at the end of the day, it's like the first mate's like they're under the Yonko, yeah, but they're still well above everyone else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, looks like we cut out for a second then. Oh well. Anyway, but yeah, so it's one of those things where the second commanders all sort of have had they've all been shat on a bit. Like really, like thinking about it, Ace got like significantly, like most of Ace's best feats aren't in the story. You know what I mean?
True.
Then you've got Smoothie that is still yet to have done a single thing in the story of significant noteworthiness. Even Queen and Sanji at the moment, they both sort of get memed on a fair bit, even in their
Mm-hmm.
own organization. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's definitely one of those things where it's like, well, shit, like second division commanders like get memed on, but they come through when it's needed, seemingly, right? But then like the
Yeah.
third commanders, maybe I'm just like hyping them up too much. But so far, Crackers would have been the most impressive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's like the third commanders at the moment that we know, outside of Shanks's crew, right? Excluding outside, the ones that we've seen Cracker, Jack, right? I think a lot of people would be split on who's stronger out of Cracker and Jack. Probably more skewed along the lines of people thinking Jack was stronger up until maybe Jack's defeat. Now I'd be interested to see if that sort of shifted a bit or not. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, yeah.
the others like Van Orga or Jozu. You know what I mean? Like Jozu's strong. Jozu's impressive, but Jozu also got like low diffed by Parasite from Doflamingo, and then also got one shot by Akiji when caught off guard. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like I don't know. I I'm not gonna say I'm disappointed by Jack because Jack actually did so much, and like compared to Perispero, Jack took a lot more. Like Jack was fighting for a lot longer than Perispero. You know what I mean? Even though they both sort of went out with the same level of difficulty from like the same sort of combatants, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Which makes sense because realistically, Perispero is sort of like the fourth commander of the Big Mum Pirates unofficially. So it's like he would be Jack just with not as much health. But yeah, I don't know. I'll probably ramble about it too much just because it's a touch touch upsetting. You know what I mean?
I was impressed by Perispero because to me Perispero looked like he was doing better than Jack
Yeah,
in that chapter.
yeah,
And
I could agree with that
yeah, I was
because
really impressed by that
I mean,
because he does have the to sort of like back it up, like relative to the Big Mum Pirates.
well, I mean also like all memes aside, Perispero actually had pretty good control of his candy, and
Yeah.
he was a utility fighter. Making walls, making bows and arrows and axes and stuff like that, making
Hmm.
Iron Maidens, as opposed to being someone that actually fought with his own body. If that makes sense as well,
Yeah, yeah.
it'd be
I mean,
interesting.
he's the oldest son,
I mean,
and
okay,
yeah,
a discuss
he's confident.
a discussion now that's sort of irrelevant, but I'm just going to ask you for the shits and gigs of it. At this point in
Mhm.
time, like, do we have Perisparrow over Snack, or is it Snack over Perisparrow? Perisparrow's got 100 mil bounty higher
Oh,
than him,
I, w-
but
I would say Perispero over Snack.
yeah,
So I think Perispero is like above third division right there.
yeah, interesting. I mean, we are like again, we're just comparing it with like Van Orga, Yasop, um, Jozu, and Perisparrow himself. Yeah, arguably Perisparrow himself. So yeah, I could see that. I just never expected it from him, if that makes sense. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Um, but anyway, we cut back to the Onigashima fight. Back to Roof Piece, the greatest hit show of all time, thanks to Oda himself. You know what I mean? Um, First thing I had to point out, and I pointed this out in the live reaction, is Kaido is using Advanced Rio here. This is the first time we've seen him use Advanced Rio and not just Conqueror's Haki coding, right? Because
Yeah.
in other clashes, it has appeared as if Luffy's using Rio so that the clash of Conqueror's Haki wouldn't hurt Luffy. You know what I mean? Whereas here, the club and the fist are equally separated. You know what I mean? The clash is in the middle. It's not one person keeping the distance from the other. So Kaido is confirmed to be able to use a Rio or an advanced form of Rio, which isn't shocking at all. But I mean, it's making it harder and harder for me, right, to sort of like when it gets to this high scale level, right? Shanks must be like Shanks must have the exact same amounts of haki so that he can 1v1 these people. But like it's kind of rough from my viewpoint of Shanks at the moment, because it's like if you equal these people just in these clashes, and yeah, you can cover yourself in advanced Rio to not be like done in by their elemental attacks, fine. But it's like
Mm.
you can fight these people 1v1, but you can't like compare to their scale, really.
Yeah.
I mean, especially since Kaido and Big Mom are doing sword-based attacks that you could argue are comparable to Mihawk. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And like,
exactly.
at this point in time, Shanks is a Yonko without a devil fruit. Yeah, but it's like the Yonko are Shanks with a devil fruit. Like, arguably. I don't know. It's definitely adjusted my view of power scaling in that, because I definitely thought in the past that the Shanks was obviously just being carried by his all round haki, and that the other Yonko would like be missing little bits and pieces of haki, but just have devil fruits to make up for it. But now it's just like, oh no, there's a clear hierarchy here that they all have the same levels of haki. Big Mom has advanced Rio. They may not have future sight, but they've got decent to good observation haki, enough to keep up with the people that are gear 4 level. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
it's I mean shit, like it's crazy. And I was thinking about this today, right? But at this point in time, like how do we feel about Luffy versus Marineford Whitebeard? Because I mean, that's the only person you can really compare Kaido to, really, at this point in time, is it not?
Yeah. I mean, when we saw, especially this chapter, obviously last chapter was the clash, but this chapter, we saw people basically saying, yeah, that's what happens when Roger and Whitebeard combined. Like they straight up said that it was at that level. It wasn't like a similar thing. It was like, I've only ever seen this when Roger and Whitebeard collided. That is seemingly stating that like Kaido and Luffy are the Roger and Whitebeard of this
Error.
generation,
Yeah.
of this era. Yeah, which is pretty intense. And we all know that Luffy's going to be the one to become the Pirate King, so that clash is going to be forever known as Luffy representing Roger.
Yeah. I mean, look, I've said it once, and I'll say it again. Luffy's here. He's with the big boys now. He's a great pirate.
Mm.
But it's sort of just like shit. It's like assuming this arc finishes with Luffy beating Kaido, right? I mean, are we in the
Yeah.
realm of discussion now for like Luffy versus Whitebeard and Luffy versus Roger, or are we still a bit off that sort of thing?
So it still seems right now that Luffy is actually straight up weaker than Kaido. So I would say after this battle, whatever power Luffy gets, there's going to be something to do with the Gum Gum fruit or something. That is when I would say I would start potentially arguing. Yeah, Luffy is like Pirate King level.
I mean, I would agree with that. At this point in time, what I'm seeing, right, is Luffy can fight equally with a Yonko, right? But say they both are
Yeah.
landing hits at this level, at this high intense level, right?
Huh?
The Yonko have a significant power gap in health compared to Luffy, even though Luffy's supposed to be a blunt force trauma negator. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So at this point in time, I'm sort of just sitting here, just like, well, shit. Like, if Luffy's just equal or just under them at this level, I mean, what's gonna happen when the dude gets an awakening? And
Yeah.
like, how that's gonna play into this? Is he just gonna jump past this whole level? Sort of establish his own level of like what the new Pirate King is, or you know, sort of what Whitebeard was being portrayed to be, being clearly above the other Yonko.
I mean, yeah, like in like Naruto and things like that, like Madara was the strongest ninja ever or whatever, and then and then Naruto got way stronger than that. So I could absolutely see it happening. Like I think Im is stronger than anyone in history has ever been known to be. And then Luffy's gonna have to surpass that
Mm.
because I think Im is like intentionally like hiding.
Yeah, well,
His true strength is probably like more so than we've even historically seen.
it's a little crazy, is it not? At this point in time, Because
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
like I'm sort of sitting here and I'm like, oh, shit, like this. And again, this is assuming that Oda doesn't like double down and do a 5 act play, right? But like it is seemingly set up right now at this point in time, whether intentional or not, that this is the final stage of the conflict. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's like, even though this is the final stage of the conflict, it's like, holy shit, we're actually like, we've made it to the big leagues now. Kaido is like an actual threat here, but it's like Luffy. It's no different to like how we would imagine a rematch of Luffy versus Katakuri going if Luffy went away for a week, healed up and ate, and then went back to Whole Cake. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Which is crazy. I don't know. I'm still in shock almost the fact that we're at this stage of the story yet. Like, I remember all of Wano has been people theorizing how it's going to be like all the Supernova teaming up to take on Kaido, or all the Scabbards and Luffy, or all the Straw Hats, and like at the end of the day, and we see in this chapter, Luffy straight up asks Yamato, "Is like, hey, I'm doing this 1v1, piss off," which is like, I mean, the hype in me is like Luffy's got this. We're gonna win this 1v1, right? But then like the skeptical part of me is like the freaking narrator said in a 1v1 fight, always bet on Kaido.
hmm
You know what I mean? It's like it's been there since his introduction. So it's like if Luffy's thinking he's gonna beat him 1v1, it's like shit. I want to bet on Luffy, but like the the narrator is essentially like the voice of the story. You know what I mean?
I mean, I think they kind of pointed it out in this chapter, which I was a little bit disappointed in. But they kind of pointed out that Kaido is like weakened,
Yeah,
that he is
yeah.
tired,
And
which I wasn't a huge fan of because I wanted it to seem like Kaido is still at full strength and Luffy is back at full strength and now. But they've basically said that it's the same thing as pretty much every single other of Luffy's fights. Recently, it's both people are weakened. They said that they literally said that Luffy is barely able to walk, and they also said that Kaido is like really getting really tired.
I also want to call BS on that a bit, right? Because how come, like, I know we've got Kaido weakened and it's stated and the flame clouds are weakening, but it's like, why? What have we seen
Yeah,
from Kaido at this point in time to indicate from him as an individual that he's tired or worn out?
yeah, legit.
Because, like, I'm being dead serious here. He's healed from Zoro's cut, right? He doesn't really have, like, we've got his close up on his face. He's got scratches on him, but those scratches have only been there since Luffy's been boxing him with Advanced Conquerors and Rio.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And it's like,
yeah.
if you take like 10 hits from Luffy, right, and that weakens
Mhm.
you enough to the point where you can't like carry an island, but you're normally able to carry an island low diff, it's just like those hits must be big. Those hits must be pretty big nerves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's like I don't know. It's crazy, and I understand you can't just drag this fight out for too much longer. But it's like this is Kaido we're talking about here. Like he's at the
Mm.
moment, right? Just like outside of semantics and outside of potential power ups, Kaido is supposed to be regarded as the goat.
Yeah.
So it's like, whew. That being said, something I liked and didn't like is Yamato is now injured from the Thunder Bagua from 2 chapters ago. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I kind of figured that would have been recently on the Bagua.
So you
Did
know
it
the
not?
one where she used the ice shield to defend herself.
Yeah.
This is the damage from that.
Okay.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it is. I might go back just to double check.
I figured it would have just been like one random attack that happened near the end of last chapter.
Let me check. Let me check. But I'm pretty sure what she was stating was it was from the Thunder Bagua with the ice, where she uses that ice
It's on the
shield.
Bagua, but I mean that's like Kaido's main attack, so
Yeah,
it
and
doesn't
I
make
mean that's
sense.
fair enough. But let me see here, because Yamato's got a bit of blood on that side of her face, but Kaido didn't attack her once last chapter, right?
Mhm.
So let's go back even further. So this might be the attack from 1024, honestly, at this point in time. Oh, that's a beautiful color spread there. Yeah, so at the beginning of 1025, the end of 1024 is when she gets hit using that Kagami Yama ice defense, right? So that's what she used to block, and she looked completely clean from that. Then after that, she defends with one attack that Kaido hits her club and not her, right? And then,
Yeah.
okay. So this is from the attack. This isn't from the ice attack, sorry. That's me. I'm a mistake here. Remember, after she did that defensive attack, Kaido clubbed the shit out of her. He had her on the ground, beating her into submission.
Yeah,
Remember
yeah, yeah,
that?
yeah.
Yeah. So that injury's from that. That's the last attack that we saw Kaido land on Yamato.
Yeah, right.
So okay, essentially, okay, I'm a little off from what I thought it was then, which isn't too bad. But it's like, it just seemed weird that she randomly started saying like, "Oh, I'm injured all of a sudden." You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But you actually see here like she's clean at the beginning of the chapter, and then all of a sudden it just starts spewing out blood. Oh no! She says it was from his Thunder Bagua. So that can't have been the hit that he caught her off guard and hit her. So that must have been from the one that she used the ice shield. Because that's her monologuing there. She specifically says his Thunder Bagua. I was naive to thinking I could guard myself.
Right.
So okay, Kaido's Thunder Bagua overpowers Yamato's ice shield, seemingly.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a delayed effect. But
Right.
I think that just like speaks volumes about how freaking heavy every one of Kaido's hits are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, yeah.
oh, dude, I cannot wait for the anime to finish the Wano arc because there is going to be so many beautiful 10 out of 10 like best moments of the series having seen Kaido fighting everyone in like anime format. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I cannot wait for it. But yeah. So then we have Momo and Yamato piss bolting away and escaping. They jump off the island. Yamato's still able to clash against Kaido here. Surprisingly, neither of them try to use advanced conquerors in this attack, but it is what it is. And then Luffy just wraps his feet around Kaido's neck to drag him back into the fight while the others escape. Pretty much that's the end of that altercation, right? Then there's a bit of dialogue with Yamato and Momo talking about how they've got to try and stop the island, pick up the island. What are your thoughts on that at the moment? Do you reckon they're going to be able to stop Onigashima?
I don't know because everyone keeps talking about a tragedy. And it would make for a good tragedy, but then again, it would also make Momo just seem completely friggin' incompetent.
I
Um,
hear me out with this,
mm,
right? I actually had a mad theory on the day. So they were talking this chapter about how Onigashima is a bomb at this point in time. Just
yeah,
because if it lands, there's so many explosive items in Wano that the whole country will blow up and fall down, right?
yeah,
What if Momo tries to pick up Onigashima and fails? So instead of picking up Onigashima, he picks up the flower capital, since we know all the citizens have gathered at the flower capital for the festival.
right.
So the flower capital gets picked up with all the civilians. Onigashima gets dropped where the flower capital used to be
And it like blows up half of Wano, but most people survive.
and brings it down to sea level, opening the borders.
Yeah, that's possible.
And it could be done in a great bait and switch there, because if we think Onigashima is going to hit the flower capital, but Momo just secretly picked it up and moved it away last second, it could make it look like
Yeah,
Onigashima landed on the flower capital and just destroyed the whole thing.
yeah, yeah.
But other than that, it's like the only alternative is Momo's literally got to pick this thing the fuck up. Like, I don't see a way around it. Do you?
Yeah, it's gonna be hard too.
And at the end of the day, if he's able to pick it up, there's no reason why he couldn't pick up the Flower Capital and just be like, well, at least this way it's safe. You know what I mean? Like, it removes the threat of Onigashima just landing and blowing up the place.
Yeah, yeah.
But maybe I'm just looking into it semantically too much. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm not meant to think about it that analytically.
I think it's like a good. It would be a good twist.
I just think it would be fitting, and it'd definitely be an Oda gag to do, wouldn't it? It's like one dragon can pick up and move an entire island, and he's gonna drop the
Yeah.
island on another island, and we've got a dragon on our team that can pick up an island and move an island, but doesn't. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. It just seems like it'd be the easiest way, and then that way you could have the civilians sort of on the sidelines now watching Luffy versus Kaido from a safe distance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That way you get the classic countdown of the civilians watching Luffy take on the big bad. You know what I mean? You get to see the wisdom god versus the dragon god in an all-out, absolute furious fight.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it would be interesting to see like. Do you think Luffy right now is as strong as Kaido? Do you think he's going to get like a buff during this battle and then become?
I don't think he's got as much health as Kaido, and in all honesty, right? Even though the Rio and Conquerors are clashing equally, I think if you had like a punching bag, right, and both of them hit the punching bag, Kaido's would rate higher on a pain scale, if that makes
Okay.
sense. Like, I think Kaido, like, I think the reason the clashes are equal is the Rio, right? I think Rio makes it look like an equal clash no matter what, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But if you had Kaido and Luffy all out hitting like a fodder punching bag or something, I think Kaido would do more damage. Like, I think
Yeah,
Kaido.
I'm more talking about just in a fight, like who would win. Obviously, like Luffy will win because he's the main character and he's going to get like a power increase. But in terms of just like current strength, basically what I'm trying to figure out is like, do you think
Luffy's
I think
stronger now.
this fight could be quick because like it's possible that this could just be like Luffy's just outright stronger than him now, and you know it's tough, but like he just beats him up and then wins. Because that flower capital is traveling quick, and it's possible that unless Kaido gets weakened a lot, Momo won't be strong enough to like put like a counter force on it,
I
like stop it from moving.
I
Luffy's gonna have
still
to weaken Kaido really quickly.
I still need to point out we haven't seen Gear 4 using Advanced Rio and Conquerors. Like, we saw Snake Man do one Conqueror's Haki Punch, but we haven't seen Gear
Yeah.
4 in this situation, right? If I'm being honest, what I think could happen is Kaido drops Onigashima, Momo picks it up, and Kaido's like, oh shit, okay. I have to deal with everyone else. I can't deal with everyone else until I deal with Luffy. Their fight takes to the skies above the Flower Capital at Mount Fuji. And Kaido running on the air, running on flame clouds to fight, with Luffy using Gear 4 Bounce Man. Or a new Gear 4 technique. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it could be a quick fight, right? But for it to be a quick fight, I think they need to go all out. For them to go all out, considering like the arena around them's crumbling and like every time they punch each other, the ground beneath them's falling apart. I'm like, I don't think they can have their fight here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think the conclusion of Luffy versus Kaido is on top of Onigashima. I think we get another set change before it ends.
Yeah.
Um, it'd be interesting though. Like, okay, I gotta ask you this then. At this point in time, does Kaido get killed at the end of this arc, or does Kaido just get beaten by Luffy and he's knocked out?
Mm. Could see him getting killed, to be honest.
Because
I could see potentially like Luffy beats him up to the point where he's like passed out, and then the capital blows up, or the Onigashima blows up, and the explosion assumedly takes him out in it. I don't see Luffy like brutally beating him to death. Let's put it that way.
Ooh, what if CP0 carry him off at the end of the arc,
Mm,
and he
possible,
gets
yeah.
taken to Impel Down, which is where Dofi is, and so when the final war happens and like Bon Clay releases the prisoners in Impel Down to go help the revolutionaries, Kaido and Dofi get loose.
Yeah, that's possible.
It'd be interesting. Like at this point in time, I'm like, shit. Like, I have no reasonable gauge of what's gonna happen with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um.
yeah.
Anyway, let's cut to the meat and potatoes. We've gone half an hour without talking about the Zoro versus King fight. I think we need to get into the Zoro versus King fight here. Fucking hell, King. I'm glad to see more of King. He's still nowhere near as impressive as Marco and Katakuri to me. But he's like,
A part of it makes him not as impressive.
I just like, okay, he's doing projectile slashes, right?
Hmm.
But I mean, I think the projectile slashes aren't necessarily like. Okay, I'll talk about Marco first. In terms of Marco, I got Marco as my number one pick for the strongest first commander just because of his devil fruit, right? Literally, you either have to overwhelm him so significantly that he can't heal or one shot him to beat him, or you lose to him in a drawn out fight, even if you're a better combatant, right?
Huh?
So Marco just gets sort of like a de facto over King just based on Marco's ability. You know what I mean? King's probably got more threatening techniques than Marco, but you know it's rough. But I give it to Marco, right?
Cool.
King compared to Katakuri here, though, I'm like, Katakuri can do all this sort of stuff with his galaxy mochi and that sort of stuff, but King is hopping hits here really easily from Zoro. I think King takes like 2 or 3 hits this chapter that like start shredding his armor and that, you know what I mean? Whereas like I don't see someone like Katakuri copying that same sort of stuff, but he's equaling him in terms of like potency and that. Like to me, it's like I'm not saying King isn't impressive here because he's damn well impressive, right?
Hmm?
But it's just like compared to what we've been getting hyped up from some of the other first commanders, it's like I said, it's like Burgess. Like Burgess is King light, but Burgess wasn't super impressive. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean,
Like
I see it completely opposite.
really.
I think King is just shit stomping all over Zoro right now. And Zoro is a beast. Like a beast. Like he did significant damage to Kaido, who like no one else could hit. I don't even know if Marco could damage Kaido.
Oh, I don't think Marco could, in all honesty.
And like Zoro was like trying to block him with all of his strength as a swordsman, and then he like with the wing of his dinosaur is just sending him flying.
Oh, I
Hopefully he
love it.
doesn't get caught by.
I do love the combo. Like I do love the combo because like King charges in here, right?
The
Smacks
thing is
Zoro.
that all of the hits that Zoro is getting off is just like cutting the side of his mask. So basically, he's trying to cut him in the head, and he's just narrowly missing.
No.
So
The
he has done like no damage.
that's the attack Zoro's getting off is actually Zoro's block. Zoro doesn't actually actively like
Well,
land.
he's blocking and counter attacking, you'd assume,
Yeah.
because they just show like a big clash, and then at the end of it, Zoro's been messed up, and then King's lost a bit of his mask. So you'd assume there's been like a counter attack. And those counterattacks are not doing anything back to King. It's just kind of narrowly missing his mask.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
idea is what they're showing is that King right now is just outright stronger, but Zoro is like, he's not too far off. So if he gets a bit stronger, he can start to deal with him.
I don't know. Like I guess we're viewing it in two different ways at the moment. Like at this point in time, I want to see a bit more from King because, like I said, like these projectile slashes. I mean, shit. We saw Kaku doing this sort of stuff pre time skip. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously it's on a bigger scale now since we know Zoro is so much stronger than he was back then, right? But in terms of just like
Mhm.
the area of effect damage, it's not really that impressive to me right now. We've seen other people significantly weaker do this. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
In terms of King,
Yeah.
King is impressing me because he's overpowering Zoro, and Zoro's whole thing is his strength, right? Especially, I love the idea that King utilizes the fighting field to the best of his ability to push Zoro off the fighting arena.
Yeah.
Like to me, that's really impressive. But like just looking at like King himself, like at the moment, like he does the projectile slashes with his arms, yeah. But then like it's just a slash. You know what I mean? We've seen Zoro do it, we've seen Killer do it, we've
Yeah,
seen
but the main thing is that like even Zoro can't block it.
but that's the thing. Zoro is blocking his projectile slashes. He's just doesn't seem to be blocking when he cops like a point blank hit. Like when he gets hit point blank, he gets sent flying back, but he manages to block the slash.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I just asked like what else would you want King to show? Because I think if King was dominating Zoro any harder, it would look pathetic for Zoro.
I mean, I don't know.
Zoro like literally cannot handle him right now. He's just like blocking and running backwards and just copping hit after hit after hit.
True. I do want to see more from it, right? Like before I like make any judgment, because like I said, I'm impressed by King here. Like I'm actually glad to see that he's doing even this, right? But
Mhm.
it's just like to me, it's not the most impressive thing so far. What I will say though about it is it's a testament to King's strength. But I also think Zoro needs this fight to be able to take out Shiryu later on in the story. My reasoning for that is like because so King's ruthless, right? King's pushing for the kill each shot, right?
Yeah.
Like King is throwing dirt in Zoro's eyes, kicking him in the balls. He's doing everything he can to keep the momentum going to take him out, right?
Yeah.
I think this is the training that Zoro needs against a top tier that fights dirty, so that when he fights Shiryu, it's sort of like a non-contesting match. You know what I mean? Like fighting a swordsman that's invisible isn't going to be like, I've got no ability to defeat him. It's just going to be like, oh, you use tricks. I'm used to people that are strong using tricks at this point. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? What I do have to ask you though, what are your thoughts on King's face?
What do you mean by? Oh, I don't know. It didn't seem like we really saw much. He just kind of seems like a little bit sickly, but kind of normal.
You reckon he's sickly looking? Interesting.
Like it looks, yeah, I don't know. Looks a
I
bit like zombie-ish or something.
okay, because I was sort of looking at him and I was like, oh, he's either gonna be like really attractive or really ugly under the mask, right? And
Yeah.
we see in the panel where Zoro gets knocked out outside of Onigashima, we actually see he's got tattooing over his eyes. A few people have been making the comparison the last day or two that that's the sort of stuff we see from Skypeans. A lot of the Skypeans have got face tattoos. And since
Right.
King in his human form or Lunarian form has wings, I'm wondering if Lunarian is like the blue sea word for Skypean or like Sky Race. You know what I mean?
And it could just be like a subset of the sky race that came down and like made a home on the Grand Line or on the Red Line.
Mm, potentially. I was also mentioning, so you know how I recently have reread all of Skypiea?
Yeah.
One of the things they say in Skypiea is Sky Island clouds are made from a chemical in sea stone called ploibulin, right? Uh, as of Wano, we know that the only country in the world that actually has sea stone is Wano, that's naturally formed. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
And we learn in Sky Island that Sky Islands are formed by volcanoes that have sea stone erupting and causing that poblolin, or the chemical, to cement up into the sky and form Sky Islands. Meaning Mount Fuji is most likely a volcano in Wano, and it's most likely the island that Sky Islands are produced from.
Yeah.
Um, And so someone mentioned in the chat on the live discussion, in the live reaction, that we don't know where one is situated. It actually could be closer to the red line than we think, and it actually could be closer to, you know, the entrance to the new world as opposed to the end of the new world. Seeing as how we haven't been following the log posts pretty much since we left Dressrosa.
Yeah, right, okay.
So it could be interesting. King's race, right? Being Lunarian that used to live above the red line. Well, the you know that race could have been where there used to be Sky Islands. There might be Sky Islands actually above Merijoa that are produced from Wano.
Okay.
So there's some potential story threads and stuff like that there to see if it leads anywhere. Also, I just I just want to see King's face now. I'm at this part in the arc now where I want to see everything else wrap up but Luffy and Kaido. Is that greedy of me to say? I don't want to rush through the story at all. I really want it to be like good and drawn out, but I just want to see some of these resolutions happen now.
I mean,
Because
I hope it'll be a relatively quick thing because they've both been slogging away for a really long time. So I kind of hope that it'll just be like a few chapters of like Luffy getting power ups and then it just kind of gets over.
I just want to find out the 6 poneglyphs at the end of the arcs information now. At this point in time, I want an info dump, man. I want Revelry Part 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Alright, do you have any predictions for the next chapter?
Just more Luffy and Kaido, I think. I think maybe we're going to start getting into some more like proper battling, proper fights. Because this chapter, it wasn't really like Luffy and Kaido fighting that much. It was more dialogue about Momo and Yamato. So I think this next chapter is we're finally going to start seeing them actually fight each other.
I could see the route being taken where we open up next chapter with Zoro versus King, and Zoro destroys King's mask. And then we cut away from the fight to Queen versus Sanji, with Queen monologuing about King's race again. Because
Yeah, okay.
I don't think King's the type of person to talk about himself and his own species. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
But Queen is sort of like who's who on roids, with just like, yeah, let me just drop some exposition on you and fucking spill the beans about some secret organizations and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It'd
it's
also
true.
it'd also be good to see a bit of the setup of the Sanji fight start to happen. You know what I mean? See how he's faring, considering we didn't see him at all this chapter.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's sort of the chapter. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
Pretty happy, yeah. I thought it was a really cool chapter, really like eventful. I'm just hoping they keep staying to that level, honestly. I'm
Mm.
satisfied with that level of quality.
I I hope we see a bit more from King, just because. What? Okay, you know
I'm
how.
just gonna say, like, if you're looking for him to do some like world-busting, destroy a continent level attack, like,
Nah,
I don't think that's gonna happen. He's a dinosaur. I think it's just he's strong enough that he can just smack Zoro, who's fully
I
protecting himself, and just blow right through him. I think that's insanely impressive.
I want to see some Rio or an advanced armament, or even. I don't want him to have conquerors because I don't want just everyone to start getting conquerors willy nilly. Like I still want that to be impactful, but like
Mhm.
as a first commander, you know what I mean? I'm sitting here. I'm like, please have a high tech, like a high grade technique, even if it's just one. You know what I'm saying? Like at this point in time, he's overwhelming Zoro with strength. And I'm like, yes, that's impressive, right? But like Zoro's fights have always been like, as soon as he can cut you, he can beat you. You know what I mean? Zoro's just on the defense here. I want to see like a Zoro go in for a cut, and then we're like, oh my god, King's dead. Oh, oh my god, it's crazy. And then we like pan out, and King's use like full body Rio to block, or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like at this point in time, right? If the Beast Pirates rocked up to Marineford pre time skip, right?
Mhm.
I mean, think about how Marco was like clashing with Kizaru and Akainu and Aokiji and that. If King tries to do that, King's getting frozen solid, he's getting burned alive, and he's maybe equaling a clash with Kizaru. But it's like, I don't know. Like, I don't.
No, I think King could clash against the Admiral. I mean, like Jozu and that clashed against Admirals.
I mean, they hit admirals off guard, and then they got hit off guard and got beaten. Essentially, that's what we saw. Marco was the only one that was clashing equally, and that's just because of the healing factor, really. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to say King's fighting an admiral equally or not, right? But what I want to see is like, I want to see someone like King, that's a first commander here, have enough in his repertoire that I'm not going to question him potentially getting one shot by someone like that. You know what I mean?
I think you just have to consider the fact that like we know how strong Zoro is, and King is just out right now. He is outright stronger than Zoro.
I mean, yeah, and it is impressive, but
So
I don't know.
like the fact that he's stronger than Zoro already places him at or above what we would consider first division commander level. Because I remember us saying when we saw Zoro hit Kaido, saying, yeah, he's basically first division level now.
Yeah,
Zoro
I
is
mean,
first division commander level.
in terms
If
of his
that's the
DC,
case,
yeah.
and King is stronger than him, he's got to be like,
But I mean, that being said,
got to be like a top tier.
Zoro's not using any of the attacks here that he would have used against Kaido as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He's
but I mean, not yet.
yeah, but that's the thing as well. Like, if Zoro does without one of those techniques and one shots King like next chapter, right? Are you going to be satisfied with that?
I mean, it's like imagine the first few chapters that you watched, Luffy versus Katakuri. Like all Katakuri had was his like future sight, and other than that, we didn't see his awakening. We didn't see his like brick haki. We didn't see the spiked mochi. There was like so many things, like so
Uh,
many awesome abilities that he pulled out as the fight continued. This
I
is like basically all we're seeing right now is King's base wing attack is stronger than Zoro's. Like Zoro can't even defend against it.
fair. Like I said, I at this point in time, I just want to see something advanced from him. You know what I mean?
I know, but like I don't think it's expected to see that come out of him already.
True.
I think it's too early on
Oh
in the
no,
fight.
I mean again, I'm talking about like if next chapter is the end of this fight. You know what I mean? Or if
And
this
also,
fight
I
wraps
think
up
the
soon.
thing that's going to be advanced is I think we're going to start seeing him use his species' abilities. I think that's going to be like his main big thing.
That could
Um,
give him an interesting
it's,
boost.
it's like it's like Rio has been done this arc. Like it's Luffy and Kaido's thing. Um, and then Future Sight's been done with Katakuri. So I kind of just see him as just having like a lot of raw natural strength, and then he's got that unique ability of his race. I think that's going to be his main thing.
Maybe, maybe. Again, I just want something more. I want the next step from King. You know what I mean? I don't want it to just be that he's like physically strong because I mean people that are just physically strong like Jack have been going down like flies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and hear me out here. What I would like to see if he has a form of advanced Rio, right? If he uses Rio to defend himself against one of Zoro's attacks, and then Zoro's got to try and learn a way to cut someone that's using Rio to defend. You know, it's
Mhm.
like it comes down to like, does a blunt defensive Rio counter someone using Rio as a sharp instrument? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
That to me that would be something interesting because then if Zoro did something like that and beat King, right? When if Zoro ever fought Katakuri or something, you know what I mean? And Katakuri is using the Galaxy Mochi, I'd be like, it makes sense for Zoro to just cut through the Haki arms from a distance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm asking too much. Maybe I'm expecting too much. I'm either way. I know King's gonna do something to impress me. I'm just wondering, like, to what extent it's gonna go. Being Kaido's right hand, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially since Kaido, Kaido wanting to be the guy that's the strongest and have the strongest crew for a war. It's like I'm wanting more. You know what I mean? Anyway, We might wrap up the stream there. We've almost been going for an hour. We've covered this chapter. Honestly, being a quick chapter, and it's a chapter that was like just about fighting, there's not really much to do outside of power scaling for discussion, is there?
Yeah, that's
Um,
true.
like,
I think we need to wait for this whole like arc to be over, and then we're gonna start seeing some
mm.
stuff.
um, Interestingly enough, here though, it looks like Zoro had to. I don't know if you noticed, but if you look at the end here, it looks like Zoro had to drop something, or something fell next to Zoro that was smoking on the on the third last panel here. You know what I mean? So like King's standing up after Zoro's managed to get back onto the island, and then Zoro drops something near him that's smoking.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know if one of Zoro's swords is a bit out of shape or not, considering we only see two swords after that. But there could be something there. I also want to see more of King, like you said, seeing some of King's species techniques that could be interesting, especially if like
Mm.
he does have some. And when I say advanced haki, right, I don't necessarily need future sight. I just need it to be like it works really well for him. He's an efficient and effective fighter that can still hurt Zoro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, any last words, Daniel?
Ah, none from me. I'm
None from
pretty
you.
happy. I'm satisfied.
All right, we will wrap it up there. Give me 2 seconds. All right, so nothing but love, nothing but respect, peace. If you haven't done so already, you know what to do. You know it is damn well appreciated. All right, follow all the socials and all that good stuff. Subscribe to the channel. Help us reach our goal of hitting 75 subs by the end of the month. All right, and yeah. Until the next video or until the next discussion, peace. Have a damn good day. Nothing but love, nothing but respect. Peace out. Goodbye.